Mصراته claimed to have found remnants of the bombs which can kill and maim indiscriminately over a large area. America today condemned the vicious attacks on the people there.
The conflict in Mصراته has turned into a lethal and prolonged standoff. Libya's third largest city is home to 300,000 people. Its streets provide ideal cover for snipers. Our World Affairs correspondent Orla Guerin sent this report from Mصراته.
Resting after a night of battle. They call themselves the Eagle Fighters. Some are neighbours, some cousins. All are brothers in arms. Their leader, Hassan Dua, a steel worker, tells me the rebels lost 3 last night, including one of his men. But they kept Colonel Gaddafi's forces off their streets for now. They display remnants of cluster bombs, which they say landed on homes and a supermarket. This is the tail fin of one of them. These weapons are indiscriminate, deadly and widely banned. Then they surprised us with a bomblet, handling it though it could still explode. In this neighbourhood, everyone knows the no-go zones. Here among the wreckage, civilians are a prime target. Well, this is as far as we can go. We've been told that Colonel Gaddafi's forces are in position. They're just around the corner, about 500 metres away. We're shielded here, but if we advance, we'll be within range of the snipers' guns. Local people say several civilians have been killed on this corner, including a 15-year-old boy who was just trying to reach the shop across the road. Abdul Hamid, an airline pilot, lives a few steps away. His family has been here for generations.
Yeah, because this is my brother. I have two brothers out there. We have 4 brothers. We are living the same.
He's staying put to defend his home. The house has already been hit once. A bullet landed close to his son. Snipers set the rules here now.
Don't move. Don't cross the street. This street is illegal to cross. Anyone who will cross will die.
His teenage daughters have hardly been outside for the past 2 months. 13-year-old Palkas dreams of being a doctor, but can't even go to school. We can't bear it, she says. No hour passes without bombs and the sound of bullets. We are Gaddafi's people, and he's bombing us.
It was hit here.
Abdul Hamid's beloved nephew, Ali, a 21-year-old student, was one of those killed on the street.
Well, I love him too much. He belongs to us.
This is just one street among many, in a city strangled by a medieval siege and terrorised by modern weapons. Orla Guerin, BBC News, Mصراته.
Well, our correspondent, Orla actually earlier explained why the struggle for Mصراته is proving so intractable.
Well, in fact, the city has been under siege for 2 months now, and I can tell you that this evening, with darkness falling, both sides in this battle are gearing up for another round of fighting. And there was intense fighting for several hours overnight. Within the last half an hour or so, and we've been hearing heavy mortar fire. Colonel Gaddafi's forces are entrenched in positions along the front line in Tripoli Street. They are trying to move forward. Typically, they try to do that at night. The rebels come out and engage with them. They try to hold them back. They claim they've been having some successes, but this is an uneven battle. The rebels are poorly armed, although they have developed effective street fighting techniques, but they stress that they cannot compete with the mortars and rockets that are being used by Colonel Gaddafi's forces. And of course, with the cluster bombs, we are seeing increasing evidence of that. We have now seen them ourselves with our own eyes. It's very clear that they are being used here, and doctors say they are leading to an increasing number of casualties with horrific injuries, innocent civilians who are losing limbs.
Orla Guerin in Mصراته there. Well, a short while ago, I asked our Middle East editor, Jeremy Bowen, whether there'd been any reaction from the government in Tripoli to the latest evidence of the use of cluster bombs in Mصraته.
Not from the BBC evidence, but they responded to evidence when it was produced by Human Rights Watch and Amnesty a couple of days ago, and there they absolutely denied even having cluster bombs in their arsenals, let alone using them in Mizrata.
And there seems to be news of a sort of well, a victory, it would seem, on the part of the rebels as far as a border post is concerned on the Tunisian border. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, I mean, I think a local tactical victory probably, but what they've done is engaged with some Libyan army people there, forced them actually over the border into Tunisia. 13 of them, including a brigadier, surrendered their weapons to the Tunisians on the other side of the Libyan army people, that is, and the rebels there held onto the border post. That area, the Western Mountains, is largely Berber, not Arab, and they have a long history of opposition to the regime here in Tripoli, and there's been quite a bit of fighting going on there for quite some time, but there's almost no information coming out.
Jeremy Bowen in Tripoli. Well, Abdullah is a doctor who's been treating some of the many casualties at a hospital in Mizrata, and we can talk to him on the line now from the besieged city. Thanks very much for joining us. More evidence emerging today that cluster bombs, more claims that cluster bombs are being used by Colonel Gaddafi's forces. Are you seeing evidence of that with the injuries that you're treating?
Yes, the majority of the casualties that we are receiving every day, daily inside the clinic, most of them, they are suffering from either major trauma, severe burns. Sometimes people come without limbs, without feet, without hands. So some of them are badly wounded. They are suffering from severe bleeding. And this is absolutely not from a normal ammunition. Even a normal pistol can tell that. This is maybe due to some very, very lethal weapon.
So what would you suspect might be going on?
Yes, I would like to confirm that the Gaddafi's battalion inside Mosrata, they are using the cluster ammunition against the civilian and against the people of Mosrata. And this has been confirmed visually and by evidence, by photos and by video footage from the journalists and from the fighters in the front lines. And they've managed to collect the ashes of and the empty shells of these bombs, which indicates that those forbidden weapons was being used by the Gaddafis.
Is it possible for you to make any sort of estimate on the number of casualties, the number of people who've been injured, the number of people who've been killed since the siege began of Mizrata?
We are talking at least 1,000 dead. So far, in the official records inside the clinic, we have from between 450 up to, I think, to 500, less than 500. But there is a lot of dead bodies that we couldn't recover from the hot zones where the battle is still going on, because the Gaddafi's battalion, they don't recognize between the ambulance car, or civilians move. They shoot inside whatever they move. So when we were trying to recover any dead bodies or wounded people, they were shooting at us as well. So to give you an exact figure and find a number about the casualties, I'm afraid it's not going to be possible, because there is a lot of missing people. We don't know anything about them, as well as I told you already, a lot of dead bodies inside the streets that we couldn't recover so far.
And how are you able to actually cope with the numbers of people coming in needing treatment in terms of manpower and also the sort of equipment and supplies that you need to treat them?
Actually, we're trying our best to keep up with the daily casualties that we are receiving inside the clinic every day. But the thing is that we are consuming the medical supplies that we are receiving from the other countries through the seaports, from the ships, very fast. So that makes us in an urgent need to a continuous supply for medical, especially for medical supply like suturing equipment and the anesthetic and anti-infection drugs. And also there is another reason, because there is always a delay in the arrival time of the international aid ships due to the random shelling of Gaddafi's battalions against the seaports.
We appreciate you joining us and updating us there. That's Abdullah, a medic operating in Mizrata.